Greetings, welcome on. Just a quick warning. This video does have a trigger warning. This is not a video for everyone. This can and may alter your reality. So just be cautious before clicking on here. In all my videos, I essentially talk about the same thing: who we truly are, the inevitable fact that we are not this human race. And it's really just to better bring clarity, peace, understanding to people who are seeking, who are confused, lost, anxious, whatever the case may be, looking for something beyond themselves. And so I came across this document, very revealing. It literally is the CIA's proof of pretty much everything I talk about with the human brain, all places, all spaces being our own mind, basically being projected outside of itself. And this was declassified, released in 2003, which is why I've told people for many years the government has hit the wall in space. They know who we are, they know where we are. And for the people, for the folks that are trying to hold on to a theory of the shape of the earth, this is going to directly cover the shape, the where we are, and also the who we are. So I'm going to read this quick page for everyone. And again, you can pull this up for yourself. The title is The Function of Brain Hemispheres in Consciousness by the CIA. It was an experiment, a study conducted by the U.S. Army. But this was the topic of space and time. So it says, to explain how and why human consciousness can be brought to transcend the limitations of time-space is the next task which must be addressed. To do this, we must first appreciate what time and space are in order to understand how the dimension that they constitute can be transcended. Physicists define time as a measurement of change. However, in order for energy to be in motion, it must first be limited in some way within the confines of some sort of vibratory pattern so that its confinement gives it the capacity for being contained at a specific location, which is distinguishable from other locations, space. Energy which is not confined is force without limit, without dimension, without the limits of form. It is infinity, cannot move because there is nothing beyond infinity, and is therefore outside of the dimension of time. It is also beyond space because that concept implies that a specific energy form is limited to a specific location and is absent from other locations. But if energy is in the state of infinity, there are no boundaries, no here to differentiate from there. Sounds familiar, right? This sounds like all of my videos. Every video I make, people say, you're saying the same thing. No here to differentiate from there. No sense of area. Energy is infinity. Energy in infinity means uniformly extended without limit. It has no beginning, no end, no location. So for the people asking or trying to preach about the shape of the earth, the where we are, it has no beginning, no end, no location. And that's coming from your trusted U.S. government that declassified this to the people. This is what we have access to at our fingertips right here. But we're searching for other things. It is conscious force, the fundamental, primal power of existence without form, a state of infinite being. Theoretically, human consciousness may continue to expand the horizons of its perceptual capability until it reaches the dimension of the absolute, at which point perception stops because the absolute generates no holograms of or about itself, which directly goes into religion. You have all these religions creating these deities and teaching you and your children that this is the absolute deity, the absolute being, the absolute, the person that represents the absolute, the totality. And again, everything this says here directly contradicts every religion, everything we've been taught. From the structure of the universe to the who we are, to the where we are. But when you get down to the fundamental truth of who and what we are, you start to understand and see that the government, the teachers, the school systems, they're not trying to lie to you. What these teachings do, what this surface level knowledge does, is it anchors you into the material world. It reinforces the idea that you are actually here in this material world. But the more you dig deeper into what you've been taught, what you've been told, there's a reason we come back feeling lied to or cheated or like things have been left out, because inevitably nothing we have been taught makes sense. And the more we dig deeper into it, from our school systems to the religious teachings to governments, the more you dig deeper into them, the more you see that they are all meaningful veils keeping us from realizing the inevitable truth to who we are. And the reason being is mass panic, mass chaos. Infinity is our true nature. We have no beginning, no end, and no location. This is coming from your government. But how does a government, let's propose it's your job today to send this to the people. You have no beginning, no end, and no location. How do you disclose this to the people without collapsing the world which we know and support and live in? So when you understand the truth behind it, these are not lies. Each and every one of these veils serve a purpose, including the veils of the religions, of the deities, of the Jesuses, the Messiahs. They serve a purpose. But when you are ready and willing enough, and that's why there's a trigger warning on this video, you will uncover the truth, the inevitable truth to who you are. And that is that you have no name, no beginning, no end, no location. There is no after you're dead. There is no next. And that's why Buddha taught total death. He didn't want people to ask of a before or after. We don't exist in a sequential order in the sense we've been taught. This is a diagram in the CIA declassified document that you can download on the internet. But this is a diagram right here in one of the pages. It shows you the absolute and infinity, and that this is basically each and every one of us. We are the absolute in infinity. But we don't begin creating materials, the material world, until it tells you right here. In order for energy to be in motion, it must first be limited in some way within the confines of some sort of vibratory pattern, so that its confinement gives it the capacity for being contained at a specific location, which is distinguishable from other locations, thus creating space and time instantaneously where you have infinity. There is no space or time here, but we trap this energy into a vibratory pattern right here, and this creates your energy. This creates your matter, your material world. We go from a limitless being to confined, but the only place we are confined the entire time is the mind. And again, it's in black and white. The only place we will ever be confined is the mind. It's not the governments that's enslaving the people or doing anything. These are simply veils, chapters keeping us from peeling back these layers to further uncover the truth of who we are. These government conspiracies don't lead up to anything, don't lead up to who we are, don't ever show us the truth to who's behind everything in the world. It's you the whole time. But we are not contained to one identity, to one location, to one being. This article is directly telling you where the all-seeing eye comes into play and why these billionaires speak through symbolism, because they understand the majority of people in society right now are stuck in the left brain, which keeps you on a flat two-dimensional plane, which keeps you stuck on just the logistical side of things. But just as it talks about, there is no here or there ultimately. This is talking about merging the two hemispheres of the brain into a single unity. Because there isn't actually two. Although your eyes are looking at two separate sides of the brain, and it can't be argued, you see two separate sides, there never has been two. The two is the illusion that's fooling us, that's veiling us from ourselves. And you can apply this to the black and white conflict, to the Israel and Palestine conflict, and to any human conflict, because it will always be this side versus that side. And the reason being is it will always be you versus yourself. The battle is not taking place in the material world, in the physical world. You are stuck in the mind. Seeing is believing, because you are only seeing the depths of your own beliefs. The only place we are being confined is our own vibratory patterns, our own thoughts, our own beliefs, which is why no one else is seeing what you see, even if they look at it too. You are in a world of your own. You are the universe experiencing itself. We throw out these quotes and don't actually understand the literacy, the power behind them. What that's telling you, the universe experiencing itself, is you have the power all along. And at any moment you can choose to awaken, you can choose to take back your power and control. But it's the opposite way you're being taught. We're being taught to revolt, go out, shut down these governments, these systems, show them that we will not tolerate this. But this is not how you revolt. A revolution cannot be televised because it does not take place on the streets, on the front lines. A revolution takes place within the minds of mankind, of each one of us, by uncovering the truths of who we are. And we have the power all along. The universe and all these documents are right at our fingertips in our phones. But again, the average person wastes their time scrolling, looking at Grammys, looking at this person, the celebrities dissing this person, the celebrities talking about that person, this person's pregnant again, this person's having a baby. It's all irrelevant and truly distracting us from uncovering the truths of who we are. And then we blame our jobs and the governments and the systems for enslaving us, for making us work these jobs and these for meaningless money. Because we are in this human race with ourselves, and we have fallen for the bait that we are actually working for money. The word ment, M-E-N-T, is mente, Latin word for mente, the mind. Employment, government, it's all centering in on your mind. The government is governing the mente, the mind. Employment is employing the mente, the mind. They're distracting you, but again, they are truly you. And that's what this is about, is not blaming anymore, not pointing the finger at they, them, they're doing this. It's you doing it the whole time. And what that means is we are limiting ourselves to our own beliefs. We can only be enslaved to the boundaries of our own beliefs. It is not someone else doing it to us. It is us the whole time. We have the power, and at any moment we can revolt, start a revolution by looking at who we truly are within. That is why revolution cannot be televised. We must revisit all these words and definitions that we've been taught, including, this human idea of who we are. There's a reason the Big Bang date, since I've been alive, I'm only 29 years old, but since I've been alive, the Big Bang date has been pushed back 3 times. And how can this be so if you've undeniably uncovered the starting point in outer space? And there's a reason for that. We will never uncover the starting point. In the same way we're killing each other through the black and the white, these are reflections of me and you. They're one and the same. They're you. But we will swear and fight till the death, never letting go, by telling ourselves they're different. They have different DNA structures. They have different this. They have different that. Underneath all of these differences that you are creating, that you're conceptualizing of yourself, you are all of them. And not just this reflection, the animal kingdom is yourself. The very intelligence that is reflected in the animal kingdom, in the waters, in the airs, in the seas, the elements, they are you. You are not just contained to this flesh. You are not the first man. You're not your culture, your person, your flag. I understand that we all want to be the original person, the founding father of creation, but you're all of it. We don't have to fight over this side or that side being first, or who created the first man. There is no creation. That is the illusion. There is a reason nothing new is beginning. History is not repeating itself, but likewise nothing new is beginning, because we are the Ouroboros circling around to devour ourselves but again. And it's like your quote through Rumi. Rumi was you, but like Rumi said, I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. We are everything we're looking for, no matter where we look for it at. If you want to dissect the atom, if you want to scour the stars in outer space, inevitably it will always lead you back to yourself, what is right here behind your eyes. The truth is so simple, but we have created many clever veils. And it is our knowledge that only anchors us deeper into believing those veils to be true, to be real. But look beyond the surface. Matter is empty space. Everything is pointing back to empty space. And when you review what empty space is, it is your mind itself. Your mind is the construct to everything that you are calling and labeling the material world. It always points back to you. As we talked about, the government, the governing systems, there's a reason it's a two-party system, and there's a reason that two-party system mirrors your brain, because it's not this side versus that side in the material world. It is you against yourself at every moment, and at every moment you are attempting to awaken yourself. The inevitable fact that you are playing two roles and you do not realize it. You're identifying as just one half, one side, thus putting the brain at war with itself, the conscious versus the subconscious. But you are both of these characters, the Neo and the Smith, and you'll fight yourself till the death until you realize you're not these characters, but the matrix, the entirety, the absolute, which has no name, has no form, has no beginning, has no trace. Because how can it? Nothing is separate. This location is not separate to that location, to your location. We are the very same seer, the very same witness. Therefore, this location is that location. Your location is this location. You are me and I am you. The birth names we have called ourselves are mere illusions, veiling us from realizing the inevitability of ourselves as one. You'll never find the alien as the entity you've created. You'll never find God as the entity you've created, because behind that entity is a veil. It's you the whole time. It has no shape. It has no form. The absolute has no form. Exactly, Jack. And we know why they are the most evil government to ever walk this place. Because they attempted to do something that's never been done. I see you, Jack. They harnessed and created technologies which had never been seen before. Alien work. But not so alien when you understand the true functions of the universe. Like Nikola Tesla said, wanting to get that force that drove the stars to rotate our very machines. And once we harnessed that, once the day we started studying the non-physical, we would see phenomenon happen light years, quantum leaps ahead. This is all alien to us. This is all advanced technology to us because we're still not uncovering the truth of who we are. We're still trying to play small and pretend to be this human race, this human species. But the only thing we are in a race with is ourselves. In the mirror each and every day, on the front lines, to the stores, to our jobs, from this place to that place. We will push each other in front of a train or a bus just to get to this pursuit of happiness. And that pursuit, that happiness only mirrors back to you who you think you are. And there's a reason these celebrities begin hitting that wall when they get it. They get all of it. They get all of what you're chasing. And there's a reason they overdose. They're depressed. They don't want it. That's why I tell people, careful you don't get there too soon, before uncovering the truth of who you are. Because what happens when you get there is you'll fall short of your expectation. And it's the very same thing with your spiritual quests. I'm in many spiritual groups and I see very many spiritual questions. And one yesterday was about chakras. How to get to the crown chakra. How to get to that crown chakra. And I said, careful you don't get there too soon before uncovering who you actually are. Because this whole chakra system creates blockages where there aren't any. But this system simply will mirror back to you once again who you believe you are. We have no limitation. We have no limits. It's who we think we are that needs them. It needs limitation. It needs guidance. It needs reassurance. That's who we're pretending to be. What we truly are knows what to do, when to do it. It's effortless. It's as easy as the child expression. The child doesn't ask questions of where it's at. It sees a playground. It is in the highest expression of the absolute that the adult is trying so hard to get back to. And we think we're teaching the child, but they're truly teaching us. We can teach them things money can't buy, but ultimately they're teaching us. Because each and every day, they're showing us the way, the effortless way. And that's the way of the heart. That's why children don't see colors. We teach them colors. They don't see them. They are in the highest expression of the heart. It is the adult, what we pretend to be each and every day, this complex organism that is suffering from its own beliefs, its own limitations, its own ideas of itself. We've created fears and worries where there aren't any, such as one day the sun will burn out. This universe will one day cease to exist. But look at the ocean, the currents. Shells wash ashore and then retract. Sand washes ashore and retracts. The sun sets and rises again. We go to sleep and we wake up again. There's a reason sleep is the cousin of death, and it's because it is giving you a taste of what dying is like each and every night. You go to sleep, which is why when we go to sleep, These questions that we put off and distract ourselves with all throughout our day come to life when we put our head on that pillow. And it's because we have distracted ourselves all through the day. It isn't until it's time to die, sleep, that they come to life. That's why death is a tragedy for so many folks. They cling on just a little longer. They fight to hold on just a little longer to who they believe they are, to their loved ones. But there's a reason we mourn our loved ones. They're preparing you. In the same way, there's a death process, a grieving process with your loved ones. There will be a grieving process with yourself. We think we die at once, in one time. But we die in pieces. The same way there is a process in accepting death through family, is the same way there is a process in accepting death with yourself. So when you see people fighting to hold on, to cling on a little longer on their deathbeds, this is what they are attempting to do, to hold on a little longer to the ideas of who they are. Because it's a process. And think about it, in family death, many of us reject it. It's a part of the process, rejection. It's the same when we die. Rejection, panic, confusion, sadness, anger. But it isn't until you let go, accept the death, and move into it, flow with it, be like water, that you begin to take the shape of the absolute. You go from existing as this thought pattern that you're attempting to hold on to, and you return to the absolute of infinity, flowing like water, instead of being in a limited vibratory state, which is repeating itself. This is what life becomes for a lot of us, is a repeated pattern. And there is a reason we go to work every day. And when we ask people, how are you doing? Hey, how's it going? Same shit, different day. Another day. That's the adult mind speaking. And we tell ourselves the adult mind has figured this all out. We know too much. Yet what's it doing for us? We're bored. There's a reason we're bored here. We do not have a love affair with the unknown. We fight to hold on to the comfort, to what's known, every moment of every day. Which is why when COVID struck, it was a tragedy. Because it, in an immediate moment, disrupted our pattern, routine. While also reminding us, you have no control. Your idea of control can be suspended from you at any moment because it's never been yours. But likewise, when you know who you are, you'll release this concept of control that you have created, because this concept of control you are creating is limited. You'll never be able to conceptualize through the mind an idea of control like your natural state of being. But when you start to fight the images appearing before you, you have not only limited yourself, but put yourself at war with yourself. As I stated in my video with the whole Palestine-Israel conflict, this resolution will not take an entire nation, an entire country, an entire world to awaken or be this walking expression of the absolute. But what it takes is one man, one woman, one being to be that expression. And how do I know this? History repeats itself. It's not repeating itself. Jesus, Yeshua, Buddha. There's a reason these men's names have lasted throughout time. And it's because they did something that everyone else was unwilling to do. When people are at the utmost ready and willing point to revolt by physically fighting and killing each other, although they have good intentions, where is the one person, the one voice of reason that's mending these two sides into a unity by showing them the way of the highest expression? Because this is what the resolution will be and what will take. It takes someone in the median side between. It will not be someone who's pro-Palestine or pro-Israel who brings these two together. It takes someone who is both, who is pro-life, pro-being, and someone who sees through the veils of cultures, through flags, through colors, through all these divisions that we have been taught. That person will start the revolution. That person will start the healing by showing them the way, by being the highest expression. Absolutely. I'm not saying it has to be one person. Absolutely. It could be a collective. A collective would be even better. But my point is it can be one person. It can be you. It can be any one of us. All of us have the capability, the power to make this realization and begin being the change we want to see. Especially once you've uncovered the light of this world, the light of this universe. Once you're back in your absolute state, where you don't see the material world anymore, you don't see classifications, differences. You are now the walking path, the walking expression of the absolute. Is unity a trap too, because it contrasts to individuality? I like that. That's where there is a difference between thinking and knowing. And what I mean by that is the mind is the source to all separation. It's what's not allowed us to coexist in unity, in unison, since the beginning, since our conception, since the beginning of record. There is no true beginning. But it's the mind that doesn't allow us to exist in unity. However, the heart is our center. The same way a plant, a tree, big, enormous tree, starts with a seed and returns all things to that seed. We're no different. We are that seed. The heart is our center. And this is why in times of tragedy and chaos and mass tragedy, as worse as you can think, I won't even name tragedies, but as worse as you can think, this is the time that we put the mind aside and begin expressing, living through the heart space. This is when you see people who don't necessarily like each other coming together. Why? Because the heart is all of our center. The heart is where all of us naturally unite. It's the mind that begins to tell us, well, I have the truth. Well, I know the truth. Well, my God is true. Well, my experience is truer. My experience is more divine. My experience is etc., etc. So that's where we can begin confusing. And that's why I say many of us have good intention, great intention behind what we're fighting for, but there can ultimately be no fight. Unity is not about disagreements, about separation, but about unity. And the only way one can unite and know they're walking the right path is walking through the heart. The mind is where you will begin seeing disagreements, because this is where your separations, your individuality, as you said, will begin to arise and surface. The heart knows the way, but we always think we can do it just a little better, which is what has led us to our current state. And I always say unity, heaven on earth, this idea of everyone coexisting is not the goal. It's not the goal. It's not the end result. It's the natural consequence of all of us remembering one piece at a time who we truly are and being that expression of love, because love is the ultimate answer. When you truly understand this, because some people will read this CIA document and take it in a very negative, dark way. But understand, you haven't arrived at truth until you understand love is the answer. When you understand, energy which is not confined is force without limit, without dimension, without the limits of form. So why did God create us, create itself? Why did you create all this? Right there. You are energy in the highest expression. You are God, but what does that look like? You have no limit. You have no dimension. You have no form. So what does that mean? You are no experience. There's nothing to be known, to be felt. So there is very important meaning in being limited, in beginning, in birthing, and likewise in the idea of ending, of dying, of coming to a screeching halt. There is purpose in that. There is meaning in that. But that's not where we end. That is not where our seeking should stop. Because it is possible to go beyond the beginning and end, the what came first and what comes last. Because there is something beyond that dual thinking. We're not in sequential order. There is no before or after. So the chicken or egg question is the problem in itself. The question is being asked from a misconception. We're asking what came first because we're identifying ourselves with the sequential order of time. But you have never been in time. Time is a thought pattern that we have allowed ourselves to habitually exist within. But as they said, physicists define time as a measurement of change. That's all time is. A measurement of change. You do not exist in time. And also, remember this. The mind doesn't live in the body. This body lives in the mind. The mind is everything. And what I mean by that is the mind is the material world. Matter being 99.99% empty space, that is your mind being projected out. That's what I mean by the mind is everything. Always remember, your heart is the center. Your heart is the path. Your heart knows the way. But we, as this limited being, always need guidance, reassurance. Because we have limited ourselves, we're always trying to connect to God, to remember God, to try and, be a piece of. But never do we just realize we're not limited to anything but the mind itself. We are the I am, the highest expression. There is nothing we can do to achieve this, because you've already achieved it, if you want to look at it that way. You already are. All we must do is stop and realize this. All we must do is see through the blockages which we have created between us and it. And the more you narrow it down between the two, the more you become the it. The more you realize you're not meeting God, you're meeting yourself for the first time. One love, family. Hope this video helps. If it did, please feel free to share it. You can upload this anywhere you'd like. I don't care. Feel free, get the message out, get the truth out. But again, this video does come with a trigger warning. Walk in love, family.